Hey, it's time for our Monday Soul Deliciousness. It is, of course, Valentine's Day, so I'm sporting my awesome chocolate bar shirt. But I thought, what a great topic for today. We'll talk about relationships. So I'm going to give you, as always, some pointers for things that we can all do to work on our relationships. So, if you are in my human design course, this is going to resonate with you a lot as it's something that we're talking about. Otherwise, you can still apply this. But so we each have a specific design, and there are parts of us that the way that we do things, they're what we call active, which means they're kind of permanent. And so we try so hard to change some of those things about ourselves so that we can get what we think we want, or we are trying to really align ourselves with the way that it's working for other people. And it's not that we can't get there, it's that we have to go a different path. And so, one of the things that we talk about in human design is a person's type. And when we look at a type, it's really broad spectrum. So there are manifestors and generators and manifesting generators and projectors and reflectors. And so that's a pretty big area to place everyone in. And so it starts really big, and then we look deeper and deeper and deeper, and it starts trickling down into um, more and more hello details. Can I help you?
What's up?
I'm live.
Michael.
Anyway, that was my kiddo. He's my favoriteest right now because he brought me a keto bar for Valentine's Day. All right. So, depending on how your energy is, um, you can have, let's look at this because it is Valentine's Day. Let's look at this as if you have a significant other or a person you live with or your spouse or whatever they are, and you're out of milk. So if you say the words, we are out of milk to a specific design, a specific person type, you will get a friction type response. Whereas with that same person, if you say, can you go get milk? You'll get a non-friction response. And there's another design that it's just backwards. If you say, will you go get milk? They're going to have friction and see where I'm going. So it's the way that you word things. So some people need to hear we are out of milk, and then they automatically take action, but you can't tell them what to do. You can't tell them to go get the milk. But there are other people that if you just say we are out of milk, that doesn't register anything with them. They're like, okay. And you have to say, will you go get, of course, I would caveat that with, saying the word please is always lovely, but saying, will you please go get us milk? And so, I mean, think about that. Just using a different set of words because we're not aware of our specific human design makes this huge difference for how internally our subconscious reacts to what we hear. Here's another one that I see a lot with relationships. One person wants to have cuddle time, and the other person wants to be super busy. And so, what happens? The person that wants and needs that time views the other person as they don't want to spend time with me. When that comes back to some of those human design features, too. Some people are not designed to not be going, going, going. And when they stop and they relax, it's super unfulfilling for them. So it has nothing to do with whether or not they love their partner or they want to spend time with their partner. It absolutely has to do with the fact that that is really not natural for them, and it's very friction causing, and it creates all kinds of things um, within their energy source that makes it so they're uncomfortable. And I mean, for some of you, you'll understand that because you're like, ooh, that's me, right? Like sitting on a couch watching a movie is about enough for me to crawl out of my skin because that's not my human design type. I have to be doing about 300 things at once. And so for other people, though, having that many things multitasking going on at one time, it's like a brain fire, right? And so they love to be able to like, I want to unwind and watch a movie and spend some quality time together. And so, once again, when we come back to understanding that that's our human design and that some of us are designed to do that and some of us aren't, it releases some of the expectations that we get ourselves into when we're in relationships and we're like, why is this person doing this? It's the way that they're designed. And so it's easier to acknowledge and be aware of it than try to force someone to act a certain way. Um, so you know that I love to do things in sets of threes as well. So I'm gonna give you one more. Ooh, I wanted to caveat too. Like I remember this isn't just with relationships with your partner, but with your kids too. My mom used to just get all up in my business about why I had to be so busy all the time. And she would say, like on a Saturday, I'd be trying to find something to do, and my mom would say, why can't you just hang out? And it would drive me crazy. And I would feel like something's wrong with me because I don't want to just sit around the house and do nothing. But really, that's just my design. And so, even as kids, we get taught, probably depending on how your parents are, if they're the type of people that have to go, 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 and that's also your design, then it's probably fine. But if you are opposite of your parents, then it's not making sense to them why you can't just relax. Or if they're goer, goer, goers, then it doesn't make sense to them why you want to relax. Um, it's just that uniqueness about you. This is my third one I want to tell you. So, are you making a big deal out of something that really isn't a big deal? So, um, I saw something on social media, and of course, we'll caveat that with how much of what's on social media isn't real because people are just trying to get followers and views.
Bye bye. Wow.
Okay, so that's super cool. And I love that you came and showed, and everyone loves it. Okay. We super appreciate
Well, I
it.
know why you got this helmet because it's your favorite color.
Oh, is it?
That's why you got it.
Okay, I thought you liked KTMs, and that's why it's orange.
Well, I like KTMs, but this is your favorite color.
It is. Okay, thanks for visiting.
Okay,
Okay, love you. And somebody got a helmet for Valentine's Day. So, making a really big deal out of something that really isn't making a big deal over. So I see this a lot with clients where and I have to say it's usually the wife, and that's only because I would say my client base is just more female, just by nature. That's just how it is. So I'll have someone say, "I'm so frustrated with my spouse or my whatever." Okay, Peanut, I know that that's really cool, but let me. Jason, I'm doing my live, honey, so people can't hear when you're yelling at the dog.
Okay.
So stop, okay? Making a really big deal over something. I'll have a client say, "Oh, my spouse won't take out the trash. It just makes me so angry because they walk right by it and the trash is overflowing and they just won't take it out." And it's one of those things that is it really worth the contention that it's causing in your relationship? Is that really that important to you? Or are you trying to make something out of nothing to get that response? And so sometimes we have to reflect a little bit and say to ourselves, is what I'm getting irritated over really that big of a deal? Here's another one. Like, this is the one that I saw where I was like, I really hope this is staged, because if it isn't, I feel really bad for this guy. So I saw this lady, she was making this post where she was pregnant. And so she was saying that every day she needs to take a nap. And so her husband was out roofing a shed, and she opens the door and she videotapes him. And she's like, "I need you to come and tuck me in." And of course, he was like, "Are you serious?" And so he climbs all the way down, and she was joking about it, saying, "He's been trying to do this roof for so long, and haha, I'm making him come down and tuck me into bed." like I said, I really hope for the sake of that relationship that that was staged. But, I mean, there are times when I think when we do things like that, like our expectations are kind of a little over the top, right? Okay. Then here's another one, actually more than three. So what if you have a relationship fail? Um, this is a big one where we blame ourselves and then we get into this space where we're like, ooh, we're kind of carrying that burden. Like, I have a failed relationship, so I'm going to bring that into my next space or my next relationship with the expectation that I have failed at this. And that's not a good space to be, because then we set ourselves up to expect that we could potentially fail again. And that's not where we want to be. So I'm going to explain it to you in the way that it resonates really well with you understanding that, when it really comes down to it, do we really need to force or place blame on anyone? When we're in a relationship, does it really need to be someone's fault that it isn't working? Heaven forbid that you just happen to be two puzzle pieces that just don't fit together really well. And maybe in the beginning, it looks like they did. It's like when you do a puzzle and you look down and you're like, oh, that's the one. And you pick it up, right? And you're certain that that's the one that goes wherever you're working on. And then it's not until you really go to put it into the puzzle that you're like, oh, maybe it's not really fitting. It's really close and it gets close and it almost fits. And, maybe if you jam it in there, it's going to work out, but it's not the right piece. And so, that's not me failing at putting my puzzle together, right? That's me selecting the wrong piece. So, understand that when you align with the person that you're with, then the pieces fit together well. So there's a way to get to that space, but you both have to be doing it. And I'm actually going to talk about this a little bit more when I go live again on my other page today at 6. But understand that you first have to be in a space where you're healthy and you are aligned with your true self, and the person that you're with has to be in a space where they're aligned with their true self. Otherwise, your puzzle pieces are not authentic, and if you're not both aligned with who you really are, then you can't get a good match. So it takes two really healthy people to make a really healthy relationship. Neither one of you should be needing to fix the other person. And unfortunately, I would say in the majority of places, right, that's not the way that we are, because that's just not how we're raised. That's not how we're taught. We do not nurture our true selves. We try to be people that we're not in order to please adults when we're kids. All right, there you go. So that's your deep insight that I want to give you today. I'll let that resonate. And hopefully you're having a beautiful Valentine's Day with whoever holds a little special place in your heart. And if you're not, hold a little special place in your heart for yourself and do something kind. All right, guys, I'll see you in just a little bit.